Right, guys, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to Live Vibe Coding with Will Melton. I am the man, Will Melton. This is a Channel RVA production. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. We're going to be doing some fun stuff, picking up where we left off last time. So, give me a second to get settled here. I had taken my monitor to the office last night for our first Friday block party, and I left it there. So, I had to go scramble and grab it. But I'm back with you guys, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be sharing all of this with you, and I'm excited to build what I'm building today. So I'm going to get my chat window here so I can talk to you guys. I should be in good shape over here. It looks like I might be in good shape. Audio levels look pretty good. Let me check my microphone just to be sure. And we're going to dive into it. So, if you are new to this program, I'm working on building 52 apps in 2026. One app for every day of, excuse me, for every week of the year. And, that's going pretty darn well, I would say. I think we are up to around 34 applications. I'm going to switch over to another screen here in just 1 second so that I can see you and share my screen. I'll show you what we're cooking on. Let's see. Okay, so switch my screen here. I'm going to get my screen share going. You guys can see me okay. All right, here it is. 32 apps right now that are listed here. Last one that we logged was Coach OS. And so we have one more to add to the mix. We've got Channel RVA Games, which we'll put in there maybe today or tomorrow. But we also have Channel RVA Games Live. So we have two things to add to that, actually. And as we're listening to the audio bite there, channelrva.com is where you go if you're a Richmonder and you plug into your city. We're actually doing something kind of cool right now for the year, for the rest of the summer until August 31st. We're going to be donating $1 towards Browns Island for every new subscriber that we get. And so please take a moment to put your email address in this box and get on the list. You'll get access to all kinds of things. And we won't dwell on that too much today because we're going to talk a lot about what Channel RVA has to offer you. But as I show you that, I'll show you here our subscriber growth for the last 7-day period is up 43% over the week before. So thank you all so much for doing that. We are a little bit behind our 30-day growth from before, but I think if a couple more days pop in here, we're going to start to see that grow. But we're paying close attention to these metrics. As a business person, I have a responsibility to the outcomes that we want to see. Otherwise, you will have wasted resources that are needed for future success. And so this is not a side hustle. It is a full-blown business concept that I think has real merit. I think it's a competitive media product in the marketplace. And we're excited to see the growth that we're seeing. And so we have all these mechanisms that we're building into the application to be able to generate more subscribers, to be able to generate stickiness, to be able to make our newsletter better, to be able to introduce features that people are going to like and want and play. And so today we'll work a little bit on games, which I have a lot of ambition around this. We have several games here that have some utility to the application, like Restaurant Verified. That's not what this is called. It's called Right Restaurant, Wrong Details, and it is probably not something anybody's played. So we'll show you what that looks like, and we'll find ways to be able to make this something that people want to play. We have a point system, and I think what I'm going to do today is just take a look around at all the things that I've built so far and try to figure out what we have in the system and whether we have what we want for people to be able to understand what's going on inside of here. Let me see if I can take a look at the leaderboard and see. I want to see. We'll look at building a neighborhood leaderboard in here because one of the things that is a big part of this is the turf wars. So maybe this is here now. Yeah, it looks like turf wars is set up. Um, I'm going to want to take a look at the game's dashboard to try to figure out a better way to display all this information because right now these cards are they all melt together more or less. These missions are cool, but I don't think it needs to take up the full width over here. So we'll start to work on some of these things. And then we will also take a look at Channel RVA Games Live, which is a broadcast network. If you weren't with me last week, this is a vehicle for us to be inside of restaurants, bars, and breweries and give Richmonders access to their city. So plugging them into the news, plugging them into trivia that helps them understand better about their city, telling them about what's happening in the Channel RVA ecosystem, and having a little bit of competitive fun. With that in mind, I also want to take a look at /play, which is where people go on their phone to be able to play. And while this right now is on a desktop, you can imagine what it would look like. We've got this menu that opens up, and I need to think a little bit about how this works and how we make it coherent and not too much for people to consume. So we've got to get these little avatars to be more interesting than they are here. I don't know what these things mean. Games live schedule. There's no live schedule. So we've got some things that we need to work on to get this working. The other thing that I was working on last time we were together, and maybe I didn't do any of the hardware pieces with you, but I got my Raspberry Pi and I was building out the hardware component of this because in order for this to work, you do need to have something plugged into the television that connects people to this. And so ultimately, I discovered that Claude gave me bad advice and told me that this would work, but the graphics processor on it was not strong enough, which is something that I kind of had in the back of my mind anyway. When I plugged it in, it looked like it was like 256-bit, maybe even 32-bit color. I don't know. It was low color quality, just graphics. So I'll be getting a different device, and it's going to be an Android Play device, I think is what it is, and we'll get that going. But it's actually going to be pretty easy once I get the right hardware. I'm not going to have to do any assembly. I'm just going to be able to do the coding part. We already have the foundation of what we need. We just need to spend about 10 minutes programming that hardware. So I'll get that going. But now that I know that that's going to be a fairly easy step, I want to make this good and make this really exciting. So we're going to pull up Lovable. And just so you know, Lovable is my building tool of choice, but it's not the only building tool out there. Somebody asked me yesterday if I build all my products with Lovable. I said yes. The answer is we still build stuff in WordPress. We try not to build too much new in WordPress because it is kind of clunky, but I know that there's some new AI-powered features in WordPress. I'm not a person to go back. I like to go forward, and I've really enjoyed React, and that's what we're building on now. It's fast and responsive, and I don't know. It just having built WordPress websites for as long as I have, it's just better in every way. So if you do want to get some free credits with Lovable, you can go over to studio.willmelton.com. I also have a link in this video description so that you can go over and snag the link there too. So get those free credits, build some things. You can do quite a bit with 10 credits. These things are pretty hefty builds, and they're taking me, hundreds of credits to get where I want to go. But I'm happy with what's being built. So that is the fun of it. So I'm going to go get Lovable and start into this here. And if you're joining me here live today, please don't hesitate to share your ideas. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is spending some time with Claude and thinking a little bit about how to make these games a bit more playable. And so, while we're on this subject, let me actually go over to Claude and start a prompt because I think we can make something work in the background to our benefit. So, Channel RVA Games Live is a broadcast network that plays on TVs in bars, restaurants, and breweries and other venues that have TV screens. And it engages a community around a shared game experience. Trivia and photo game, which has people guess where murals are and who the artist is for the mural. All that stuff is wired up, and we're going to start to build some new games. But I want to establish a set of rules that help us to make sure that the games we design are very compelling to play and fun and funny sometimes. And some of the rules that I want to create are that they need to draw people in. So from the on-screen experience when they haven't yet become part of Channel RVA, the games themselves need to draw people in. I think we do a pretty good job with the overall experience, but each of the games have to have some kind of drama to it in order for us to pull people in. All games should have some kind of local element. One of the things that we're trying to do with this is get people to go out into their community and experience life and communion with their neighbors. And so they're going to have opportunities to be regulars at restaurants and know where their crowd hangs out based on kind of the vibes that are going on. But seeing what is happening in other locations, knowing which neighborhoods perhaps are winning the turf wars game on a regular basis, I think we need to do a better job at showing in the overall gameplay like who the turf war champions are. Um, there's a couple of things that are diverging here. Let's do this. There are a couple of things diverging here. We've got some gameplay TV interface things, but then really what I want to do is create the rules. So we'll separate this out in a minute, but um, it needs to be local, obviously. It needs to not be repetitive. You know, we need to make sure that we're surfacing new things. There needs to be some game variety. There should be always an element of interactivity for the player. There should always be an element of being able to win to accumulate points. There should, or could, maybe not should, be an element of interactivity between the players potentially to make it more interesting and fun beyond just you're playing on your own with a trivia game and they're also playing a trivia game and you're pitted against each other on total points. I think there could be some more interesting games that we get people to play that are more interactive. The other thing that games need to do is really be about driving loyalty to establishments that people have visited in the place that they are now. We want to drive repeat business to those restaurants, to those bars, to those breweries, because that's how they generate money. That's how they get customers. And they won't pay us if we don't bring customers to them. There's probably some other things that I'm not familiar with because I'm not a seasoned game designer. I'm a new game designer. What are some of the mechanisms and rules that we need to build into this to be able to make it successful? Okay, so I'll let that go. I put it into the live vibe coding channel because that is where I have the work plan for what we're trying to do. But what I'm going to do is open up the Channel RVA app builder here and get my agent engaged. What I'm going to do is really focus on the game experience for the player. So I'm logged in, so I have to log out and figure out what the experience is like for somebody who's not logged in. So let me go do that now. Imagining through the lens of a new player. And imagine that you're looking at a phone for all of this. For the game's live experience on the handheld device, when somebody's not logged in, it says playing as a guest, sign in to bank your points and climb the all-time board. I think what's compelling, most compelling, is that people get to rep their neighborhood and earn street cred. Um, I want to make sure that we're using the most compelling elements to get people engaged. Right now, the live schedule does not work on the menu. The leaderboard does work, but there is no way to see the Turf Wars results. I think that should live inside the game's live menu, the Turf Wars results. Right now, the avatars are not at all real avatars. They're just initials, which I don't quite understand. And we really want to give people a sense of individuality, so we kind of need to have a library of avatars that we can leverage. And then I think the last thing that I'll say for this round of gameplay is that we have a decent amount of repetition in the trivia. Every time I've seen it played, it has the same questions, and that will make for a very boring game for anybody from day to day. So we really need to exhaust trivia questions after they've run, and then not allow them to come back up for some duration of time. You know, we also need to mix them up a decent amount so that they're not in the same order every time, I think is maybe a bigger deal. If we have enough questions in the bank, then we could replay the same questions, but there needs to be probably hundreds or thousands of questions in order to make it really what it needs to be. So let's make a work plan for that. All right, so hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, sitting here talking to my Lovable agent. So I don't know if you guys are users of Lovable or if you've watched me before, but I do. I don't use the keyboard too much. It's not very efficient. You can see I was able to get a decent amount out by just looking at the experience and trying to determine what I wanted to see there. I told it to make a work plan, and it's in build mode. I could stop it right now. Actually, I'm going to do that. Start this again. Plan mode. I only do plan mode whenever I'm asking for a lot of different things. That way we get a detailed description for all of that. Um, and one thing that is maybe a little bit of I don't want to say it's a mistake, but just one of the things you have to decide whenever you're building is how much you want to build inside the same interface. Right now, whenever I'm building games live, it kind of prevents me from working on the other thing that I want to do, which is work on the game show podcast. So, I have to decide how much I want to. Maybe I'll populate a roadmap. Maybe we'll do planning in the beginning and we'll start to execute near the end, and you can see what a rapid execution looks like.
Non-stop beats für endlosen Energy Boost. Schalt jetzt zu I Love Workout.
While that's happening over there, I'm going to take a look at this and just see what we have.
This is I Love Chill Hop.
I'm just reading through this here. This is before you got here. I was prompting Claude to tell me about what rules we need to create for our gameplay. I have some established, but then there's going to be uh, some additional rules.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
So we want players to be exposed to the entire ecosystem. We want to show them where they can go. We want to show them the specials that exist there and the prizes that they can win at those locations. But whenever somebody's watching the screen inside of the venue, I want the screen itself to be loyalty inducing. The handheld device can have uh, a little bit more exposure to outside content, but it shouldn't be constantly pushing people outside of the venue they're in. As far as the check-in mechanism, we capture that whenever we are. They have to type in a code on their device. That's already settled. Venues are going to pay per location and per day of gameplay. Not open, don't pay. No one plays, don't pay. We're going to set it at $10 a day. That keeps it around 300 at the max, most likely less than that. We own all the content. It doesn't matter. That's not relevant to this. Go ahead and give me two different outputs. I want to have some of the interface gameplay TV screen rules established as a kind of a requirements document, and then the other one is going to be the rules for games. Okay, so So there's a lot of motion on the screen to draw attention to it. So we do have a ticker at the bottom that brings news stories and connects people to the content inside of Channel RVA that's important to us. We are doing this to get subscribers. But I think if we can just acknowledge that we should be good. All right. I'm going to take this out of here and move it over to Lovable so that we have a frame of reference. All right. I'll just say this. We need a new work plan. Some of this is redundant to what we've already built, so I don't want to mistakenly gum up the whole system. So let's refine the plan to just incorporate some of the new information that I'm going to give you here. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Thanks for jumping on with me today. Working on some game framing here. That's cool. I hadn't seen that yet. It does work to keep you engaged if you go idle. Okay. One of the things that you will see inside of Channel RVA is this LVC Live. That's live vibe coding. That's me right now. We bring creators' content into Channel RVA. So if you're a creator and you're making media and you want to be included here and you're in the Richmond area, hit us up. Give us a shout. You can go down to, let's see where it is. You're going to go into the menu, go down to where it says become a contributor. And you can see how you can go about doing all of that. So you can just submit individual stories or you can become a long-term contributor. There's benefits to that that you can read in here. Editorial standards. Take a look at how we work and what we think about how we contribute to the Richmond community. But we also have standards that we need to meet to make sure that our audience trusts us. But it's all right here, and we're building it in real time, literally. Some softball questions in here, Richmond. You guys all be getting points. there's a problem on the game rules on the handheld device where when you tap it or hover over it, it moves, which is really annoying. I told you about that before. We need to get that fixed. Also, please go ahead and add the previous growth plan to the product roadmap in chunked out as what would make sense.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
So our whole week closes out on Fridays. So we have a new window of time here, and I must have played. Did I play today? I don't think I did. So who knows? Maybe the time isn't synced with the East Coast time. I'll double check that. I want to be sure that all game elements leverage East Coast time. I don't remember playing today any games, but I have some street cred. Maybe you can tell me how the street cred was earned. Right now, the games page for players is in need of reorientation. The daily missions is full width and it takes up too much space. There's a lot of unused space right in the middle of the screen on desktop anyway. But this will be responsive, so it can be narrower still. The other thing that is a problem is that we have it says choose your game. That is not just choose your game. The leaderboard's in there, your badges are in there, and so I want to isolate games from other menu items. Maybe we need to have a menu that you can see, maybe another layer of header at the top of the games section where we can have a little hamburger menu. So that we can bring players to all of the different content that exists in games. All right. For the nudge to create an account, can we actually promise to allow them to retain their points from gameplay when they create an account, and then also meet that functionally? So, for those of you who are just kind of hanging out and watching, I am in refinement mode, and so there's a lot that's been built around this already. And so, what I'm doing right now is just kind of going through the experiences. If I were a player, if I were a community member, didn't know anything about this, what do I need to bring? How do I need to surface elements of the gameplay system so that they know um, what to do? There's a couple of elements to this that I think might be a little bit too complicated right now. So the badging system, I don't know that we need to show every badge here, but some of the fun of it is people earning badges that they didn't know that they were going to earn, or we could even yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we could do. Actually, I think I want to bring the badges to the surface. So anyway, I'm not talking to Lovable. I'm talking to you. So just kind of thinking out loud about ways that I can like weave all these pieces that we have together. I'm going to knock this event off really quickly from featured. We cannot have two live sessions from the same venue.
I love the sun.
Can you explain how Last Standing works?
Latin Pop, R&B, Afrobeats und
Can you explain how Last
Amapiano.
Standing works?
I love the sun. Summer is now. Und für mehr Beat in deinem Sommer, switch einfach zu I love the beach. Für Pool und Beach und Bar.
This is I Love Chill Hop.
Cool. All right, so I want to create a work plan that focuses on the restaurants and venues Some of the things that we need to acknowledge is that these places don't have a lot of time to devote to this stuff. They want it to be successful, so they will participate, but we need to make it super, super easy for them. So I want to be thinking deliberately about what's in the app sidebar, what's on the dashboard for them, and how we can make it really easy for them to activate their system. I think having
You're
some
tuned into
of
Channel
the
RVA, the media hub for independent creators.
things like their
Subscribe at
specials, not their specials, but
channelrva.com.
well, here's a couple of things. One, we can give them a place where they can add promotions or specials, however they want to do it. They can make it however, whatever text they want it to say. Maybe they can even load an image, and then they can have a bank. They can create a bank of those promotions or specials so that they can surface them whenever they want to. Instead of having to create new all the time, they can just activate the ones they want. The other thing that we can do is give them a similar thing for their nightly prize. And then the prize can be, they can set it up based on the calendar. So they select what days have which prizes. And they can have some things that make it really easy to set every day as the same prize if they want to do that. Or just to have a random selection, a random rotation of the prizes that they make available. I want to include in the work plan making sure that all of the different menu, all the different pages that partners have access to are clear to them, how the page is supposed to work and what it's supposed to do for them. And I also want to build a front end page for venues so that we can communicate all of this to them. We can take some screenshots of the live screen as a means of getting that to be visible inside of the page so that they can understand what it is that we're trying to get them to participate in. And then the other thing I want to do is we've determined that we want to do a per day pricing, per day per location pricing. And we want to charge them only for the days that they're open and only for the days that players play the game. That de-risks them and makes more compelling economics. Really forces us to be the performers in this whole thing. We have to create games that people will actually want to play and make the interface something that is easy to see and to engage with. We also want to tell them about some of the games that we have and how the interface works to keep people in their restaurants and keep people coming back to their restaurant. And then I want to create a new game that's personal to the user. Where it's called the bar tab game, and essentially what people do is inside their handheld device, they will be prompted to try to guess what their bar tab is going to be, and we'll have some rotating promotions for this in the on screen. We can go ahead and add those on the promo rails, but I just totally lost my train of thought. I need to get it back, so I'm going to read what I was saying. So I think Last Standing needs to run in the rotation of games as opposed to being something that the venue manager turns on. That's a management burden that we want to eliminate. Okay, I remember now. The way to finish the game is to actually plug in what the final bar tab was before tip. And whoever's closest to the actual number wins. And we can have a leaderboard for that that closes out every night so that it's going to be just a bragging rights type of thing, or maybe we can give them some extra points for actually winning. But that game is going to be important because we're going to feed that information into the analytics for the venue so that they can see what the impact of the gameplay is on bar tabs. Everything needs to be data driven ultimately for people to recognize the economic value of their investment. And we aim to show them that value very deliberately and ensure that we are continuously displaying that value so that we have a long term relationship and we can maintain our presence in the marketplace and we can continue to be a media network that people see and join and subscribe to over a long period of time. All right. So you guys are watching a lot of just refinement of this one area. We're going to generate a product roadmap plan, essentially, and we're going to execute a whole bunch of stuff all at one time. But I wanted to show you something that I was working on. I need to do one other thing before I do that. So we have a new AI game show page for recruiting people to it. We need to make sure that that is linked to in the article that talks about the AI game show podcast. We need to write a new article about the AI Game Show podcast announcing that we have begun filming and we still have some cast slots open. And we want to bring those folks into our ecosystem, and we have this page that they can go to now. I want to use some of the graphics from that page, perhaps the image of everyone laughing in the studio as the primary graphic for that article. You can attribute the article to Will Melton and go ahead and publish it today. Do all the metadata that you need to go ahead and create the AB variant, ABC variant headlines. I'll just make sure that we've published a complete article. So there's a lot that goes into building all this stuff. And one of the biggest things that I find is, and it's something I forget all the time, but you have to be able to effectively communicate to people what it is that you are asking them to do. whether they're a player. Okay. Um, so anyway, that goes for everybody. So if I go to channelrva.com/ai-game-show, we have this page here that explains what this is and how it works. And so you can kind of see a little bit about what it is and some of the screenshots from inside the game. I built this because one of my contestants who said that they'd be interested in the time since I've spoken to them, I guess the details of the game have kind of evaporated from memory, which is totally understandable because I've been working on this for a couple of months and I'm just now getting to the point of recording. And so I put this together because I need to recruit 16 people to this, and if I had to talk to every single one of them about what it is, that'd be a lot of work. And I already have done that a few times. So what I'm doing is putting together this page that I can then share with people, so that I don't have to say it multiple times over. Scale, efficiency, it's all part of the process. It is, having communicated to these people and asking them, hey, these are the dates that we're shooting. Can you come in? That took a chunk of time, and I needed to have something to say to them. I needed to maybe, a lot of them trust me, so they're saying yes and, winging it to some degree. But this will be important to share with them ahead of time. So that is what the point of this is. And we're going to do something similar in the plan that we just wired up for these venue managers. Add this work plan to the product roadmap with details. I'm pretty sure that we can remove the test harness. I think that was preliminary to the functionality we have now. I don't really want to manage brand groups. I think that's something that the venue managers can do. So we can maybe move that over to that area. And then obviously there needs to be the wiring of payment to the different uh, locations that they add. Maybe they add locations and then they designate it either as part of a brand group or they just say that it's another location of the same brand, same restaurant name.
It's 2 o'clock.
Okay, so you can see obviously I'm doing a couple of things. I'm bouncing back and forth between actually publishing a article and linking in the new page that you guys heard me referencing to the old article that we had previously published, just to make sure that if anybody comes across that, it is information that they can get access to. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people in marketing forget to do is like, how do people get to the place where the information exists or where they can actually take the action that is valuable to the business? It happens sometimes to seasoned marketers. They forget to do these things as I'm kind of in the final phases of doing all this, working on getting all this wired up. My head had been previously in the build aspect and trying to get all of this stuff integrated. But, in order for it to actually work, you have to think about the engagement mechanisms and connecting people to information is a big part of it. Legacy information, old content is needs to be refreshed sometimes. So we'll go over here and take a look at the front end of this to see our new article. Should see our new article. In the article we just published, you referenced Channel RVA Studio, but we are located in West Broad Studios. I think that's the one correction we need to make. All right. Whatever. It's going to figure it out. I'm going to go up to my product roadmap and I'm going to go assemble a sprint.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
it got some of the details wrong. So I'm just taking a look at some of these plans.
I love chill hop. Kurzer break.
All right, so we're executing our sprint an hour and 5 minutes into the stream today. But let's take a look. Let's see what we have in line for us. I moved some things to backlogged because I don't want to go and spend a bunch of credits right now on filling the question bank to 10,000. Let me see what this says though. For this roadmap item, it was misinterpreted what I was asking for. I don't actually want a promo rail for restaurant recruitment. I want a landing page, just a traditional web page. Okay. So there's a lot to build into this. So while I'll be coding a lot today, it's going to take a little bit of time to go through and verify everything. So I won't be sticking around for that, but I will push a couple more sprints here so that maybe we can get to the end of the build for all of this. And we can start to go and promote. I think the new pricing model is ideal because I can get people to sign up and commit to this, and we can go and get a bunch of people to say yes before we ever turn it on, so that we have enough time to plan. We can get our hardware prepared, and we can launch it all in one day and have a big announcement around it and big fanfare, and maybe do a takeover on the website to be games oriented so people know that it's something they can expect to see. I want to do another article about Channel RVA Games Live that is an announcement of the existence of it, and that we will be announcing a official launch date soon. But right now, we're looking for restaurants who are looking for ways to bring more people into their restaurant, to get people to be more loyal, to get them to grow their bar tabs and dwell time in the restaurant, and get exposure to the people playing Channel RVA games. So uh, we're going to have a schedule as well as a directory of where people can go to play the games. And that's going to be one of the ways that people engage with Channel RVA to find where they're going to go on a daily basis or weekly basis when they're going out and having fun with friends. We're being incredibly deliberate about building this tool to be, or this platform to be, one that is very specifically geared toward restaurants and bars and breweries because those people rely on butts and seats to make money. But we want it to be, it has to be compelling for our guests to play as well. And so we're putting a lot of intentionality around the actual mechanics of the gameplay and the information that we put into it so that everybody who's playing gets to connect uh, more closely to the city that they love, that they've chosen to live in. It's also fun for people who are in from out of town to play these things because they can learn a little bit more about our city. I'm just poking around some articles to see how ads are landing. I'm not seeing ad rotations for the Valentine or for Pure Fitness. Can you check to make sure that those are active in the system? I'm mostly seeing our branded ads primarily.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
Okay, so we've got, looks like one more sprint that we're going to run here, and then the last one's going to be to grow well, there's two, to grow the questions bank and then to wire up the remaining games live formats. I put this one in backlog because I wasn't confident that the remaining games live formats are actually meeting the standards that we've established. So, part of work today was to get those established standards published inside the application so that I could reference them. And then I'll do a little bit more research and trying to figure out. I think this is an old roadmap item anyway. Now that I look at it. Anyhow, I think we're going to also be starting to think about some new games that we can incorporate into this, and in order to get the premium subscriber functionality working, we're also going to need to create the singles game. So while this is working, I'll talk about the singles game. So that's kind of fun. So the one game that we have planned for premium subscribers is a singles game. It's a rating game. And I want to add a roadmap item to make sure that we get this in here. But the way that the game is going to work is the premium subscriber is going to be able to create a singles profile where they can put their photo, their name, or their nickname, and then a bio. Some of the things that they're interested in, and whatever it is that we think is appropriate for that. And the name of the game is occasionally during gameplay on the screen, we will show a singles profile, and the player will have the opportunity to rate them, but it's not going to be on a scale. It's going to be just a list of qualities that they can select from, and maybe we can give them the opportunity to push 3 different qualities that they identify, up to 3. And then what will happen is after the voting period is over, on screen we show everybody what that venue rated that individual, and with a bubble chart, what were the qualities that were stated. And the remainder of that game is essentially the premium subscriber would then get access to all of the data. So every time that they were rated across the ecosystem, and keep in mind, while the ratings are isolated by venue, each venue is rating the same single at the same time, since it's a broadcast network that's synchronized. That player will be able to look at the aggregate data from across the city, as well as see the data on a per venue basis, so that they can understand which venues find maybe the qualities that they're most interested in being found for. They can kind of go find those places and go to those places and see what they're like, because maybe people that find them interesting are located there. So that's an interesting kind of game that's going to take a little bit of work to design, but let's go ahead and put together a work plan and add that to the roadmap so that we can actually make the premium subscription a real thing. We need to make premium subscription a real thing that we give people access to inside of my RVA. We will need to slowly add new features to that. So it's maybe in the beginning it's to support independent journalism and media creation. They can subscribe as a means to support our work. And we will indicate that we'll continue to drop new premium features for premium subscribers as time allows. So I'll probably code for another 10 minutes or so here today. Uh, we're getting some pretty good progress on all of this, but I do need to go in and I need to do some research on some murals that I've recently photographed and get those loaded up into the system. I meant to do that on Friday or 2 days ago. I don't know. In any event, I've got some other work I need to do for clients as well, and so can't do the fun stuff all day long. Gotta get the client work in too. So fortunately for me, that is also uh, other build projects, and so I'll get to keep practicing my craft. As I take you out here today, what I wanted to just say is the biggest takeaway for me in all of this is that maybe you don't need to build as much stuff as I build, but part of the reason I build is because it's fun, and I learned so much from everything that I do. Trying to imagine what type of mechanics go into games to make them sticky for players and valuable for restaurants is a it's an expansion of my ability, and having to learn all the things that are required and then to be able to build these interfaces and to uh, you know go through the motions of thinking about all the different triggers and you know what's happening when throughout somebody's experience. I mean, this is what I'm trained to do. This is what I've been doing for over a decade now, but it's another layer, it's another level of thinking when you get to building these games and these multifaceted aspects. And so I will keep building these things. I'm not going to stop when I get to 52. I'm just going to switch to doing more client work as opposed to more experimental work, because by the time I get to 52 apps, I will be busier than I need to be and will likely have a lot less time. But the practice, the continuous building is teaching me, and what I'm learning is how to do things for clients in different ways and how to be faster at building. I'm learning how to create new innovations around how things happen and what gets built and how we can make connections and drive success in business. And we get to do all the things that a lot of businesses skip out on because it's expensive to build. And the reality is now is it's not as expensive as it was. It's still expensive. You still have to maintain the things that you build. There's a lot that goes into that, but it is a lot less expensive. And for the same amount that you would spend for maybe one little feature before, you can have an entire application, and you can have all the data views that you need to have in order to make decisions. And even as you build those data views, you get to start to think about, well, if we've got the data right here, can we just build functions or leverage AI to be able to observe that data and begin to make decisions about what's going to happen next? So as an example of that, hydration media is a tool that I use to manage Richmond Water Refill Station rentals. And one of the things that I have in here, and I don't know that it's something I can look at, but I've built into this like the actual analytics around the form that we just put on our website so that we can effectively, just have that visibility of what's going on. But I've also built into this, and again, it might not be something that I can click on, but I've built into this a set of rules around pricing. And let me go back to the dashboard because maybe I haven't pushed this yet. Let me go to level, pull this up. I actually have it set up to recommend pricing to me based on the demand that we have. And that's all based on an analysis that I conducted that kind of looked at the distribution between price and availability. And so this says it's up to date. So let's see.
Ein Hit, ein Jahr. Aber welches? Schalt jetzt zum neuen Hitquiz Channel und zock direkt die nächste Runde. Let's quiz!
This is.
I'm not seeing on the dashboard the the tool that recommends pricing. Where did that go? Did it not get wired into the UI? I'll show you this before we sign off today. All right, what do we have happening over here? Stopping here. Okay. What happens if you haven't seen me do this a few times? I'll give it these big sprints, but it's going to run out of context at some point, and it's going to need to be. It's going to have to stop. And so, even though I told it to keep going, it can't do that, and so it does stop naturally, and I just tell it to keep going. There's a little bit of risk in having these. Oh, it's asking me this. Yeah, sometimes if I've got a queue of tasks sitting behind a active sprint execution, just like what happened now, it said, "Hey, I have to stop," but I had something sitting in there to add another roadmap item, and it took that task on instead of actually pausing it for me. I had it set up to play the queue that was going automatically. And so, there's a little bit of a downside because we're task switching, and that's going to have to require a little bit more compute to be. Um, okay. So anyway, yeah. So there's a little bit of task switching compute burn there, but I'm also talking to you guys a little bit and just trying to get as much in here as possible. Sometimes I'll use my voice memos as a way to communicate some of the things that I want to say, but I think ultimately it ends up being just natural for me to hit that microphone button down here on Lovable. I've mentioned before about how that can sometimes backfire if your internet connection is not super solid, but I've fortunately not had a big problem with that. And I didn't plug in before this session, so I have battery waning, but we're going to have enough to get us through to the end of the build today. Let me see what this thing said. Oh, okay, so I have some product roadmap items to execute over here too. Looks like it's just the one, but I still like to that's cool. All right, so what I want to do is I want to go, since we were doing this, I wanted to take a look at something else that I did, which was on the rental form. I wanted to see how it treated the pricing. Yeah, it reset on me because I'm executing a sprint. I should have done it on the front end over here. Let's do that. I like the way the promotion was wired in, but we have, it's called a launch promo, and I think it needs to be called a, maybe we'll call it the America 250 promo. Now let's change the name of the launch promo to America 250 promo. Yeah, that's not going to work. On the pricing intelligence, I'm going to set the pricing floor to 225. Okay. All right, let's see what we're doing over here. We got 3 things in review, locked.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
Go get some graphics that I had inside of Canva for today's session because there was a cool phone graphic grab. So let's see. We need to make sure that the product roadmap items that we've completed have been switched to in review. All right, still cooking over here. But I think I'm going to wrap it up because my computer is going to die if I don't go get a plug for it. So we're going to wait, make that happen, and we'll let this thing ride out. But appreciate you hanging out with me today. Once again, if you are new to all of this, please subscribe at studio.willmelton.com. If you're not in the Richmond market, so that you can follow along on my journey. And if you are in the Richmond market, you can follow along on my journey at channelrva.com by subscribing here. And your subscription will be a donation to Browns Island of $1. So not a lot, but it adds up. We'll go up to $5,000 to Browns Island here in the summer. So hopefully we can get more people to participate in that. And you can see all the great things that we're building over here, bringing you closer to the city. With that, I'm signing off. This is Live Vibe Coding with Will Melton, a Channel RVA production. Join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. for a continuation of this build. We'll wrap things up, and we may move into working on some other things that I've got going for my company. We might make a pivot to something new. We do have about 18 apps left to go, so there's going to be need for us to keep working here. So thanks so much for joining me once again. We'll see you tomorrow.